Good morning.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Okay, let's start. Okay, shall I start? Fine. Last week we were seeing the Stone Age, that we also call as prehistoric period. When we call some period is called prehistoric, there is some other time called historic. If you call historic time period, but in our history, no transition is sudden. Always it's evolutionary in nature. In between we call proto-history. Online students, whatever I am writing, is it audible? Is it visible clearly? Audible? Visible? Prehistoric period, proto-historic period, and historic period. There was a question in previous year, Chalcolithic time period. We considered as proto-historic period in UPSC language. How in medieval India and Middle India or Central India and South India, Chalcolithic cultures created conditions for emergence of prehistory to proto-history. So what are these characteristics of proto-history? Unless we know what are the characteristics of historic period, then only we can assess what is prehistory, what is proto-history. So let us see these things. The main criteria for categorizing a particular period as historic means a written record. If we study our human history through written records, then we consider it as historic period. If we are studying through written records means there is a script. After the development of script, we consider as historic period. But when it comes to this prehistory, this is no script. No script at all. And this is the transition. Like when it comes to this period, some kind of script or evolution of script. This will fully evolve into the script which we can read properly and we can categorize this particular time period as historic time period. Sanju, are you getting? Okay. When it comes to Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, we did not identify any kind of script. When it comes to Chalcolithic time period, in certain areas we have a script, but we are not able to read it properly. Because of this, we consider that part as proto-history. Even in our subcontinent, a special case is Harappan civilization also, we consider as proto-history. Hmm. Hmm. Huh. Harappa will become historic period. Because now we know his script also, we are able to read also. Yeah. Mm. Huh. Today we will see that which part is under proto-history. This is the major criteria in categorizing historic period. And it is not the only major criteria which consider the characteristics of historic period. There are other things, that is metal usage, metal technology. It is fully utilized. Here, no metal. And here, again, evolution of usage of metal. And those Chalcolithic periods which do not have this evidence, but this have this evidence. So that's why there are some criteria, characteristics which define prehistory, proto-history and historic period. So this is what exactly UPSC expected in that year. In 2017 there was a question, Chalcolithic periods, it helped to emerge from prehistory to proto-history. But that did not fully evolve into historic period. Now these are one characteristics, second one, next one. When we discussed about syllabus, we have seen different society elements, political elements and economic elements. Those are the various institutions that developed over a period of time throughout our history. These socio-economic political characteristics fully evolved in the historic period, but they did not evolve fully in the proto-history, and when it comes to prehistory, they are just beginning. So in that way, the institutions, if I write in simple term, social institutions society, not at all. Full societal elements. Now this is emergence. It's like family system properly evolving, social hierarchies. These are the division of labor. All these aspects fully evolved in the historic period. But when it comes to society, in prehistory, in Stone Age, what kind of society we have seen? Band, few people, and they move from one place to the other place. That society did not evolve. But when it comes to Chalcolithic period, we have villages. That's why they are about to become full societal elements. Next one. No economic institutions. These economic institutions fully evolved. When it comes to in general studies, it is simple characteristic. Which one? If we have any written script, then we consider it as a historic period. If we don't have written script, that is prehistory. And we are able to, we find script but we are not able to decipher, that is proto-history. When it comes to general studies, we limit ourselves to this part. But as a history optional student, you should go beyond that. These are the characteristics. You need to see this. And here, emergence. Economic institutions means like agriculture, artisans, trade. You will find these institutions just beginning and they are going to become fully evolved in this time period. No, major one, because in again our subcontinent is very big one. That's why you will see some places in the historic period, some place in the prehistory, proto-history, some place still you will be in the prehistoric period. Others are, once script is there, once metal started using, automatically society will evolve into, because the kind of agriculture production will change. The kind of artisan activities, once you use metal, the impact of the metal usage is going to alter the societal elements. You will find various artisan activities with stone also, with metal also, terracotta images, various images can be, various artisan activities are going to become very common. Yes. Except this part, everything evolved. Yeah. In proto-history only, because this is the dominant theme in deciding the proto-history. Yes. Maybe, may not be. But still, when it comes to, because you have to write the answer, only just by mentioning when script is there, that is proto-history or prehistoric period, when we are not able to decipher proto-history, simple one line you cannot mention. Our interpretation means scholars' interpretation. Yes, human interpretation. Yeah. So script is the dominant criteria, and there are other institutions also which make historic period. No, that presentation depending on the number of marks. If it is a 10 marker, 15 marker, 20 marker, 20 marker means you get some space to explain it clearly. But if it is only for 10 marker, then you have to find a way which will explain many things in small space. Yeah, that is enough. That is enough for 10 markers. If it is 15 marker or 20 marker, you can explain it a little bit. Okay? So now I will give other institutions also, so that you can have this idea. In this table, expansion means So I will give. Now whatever, how you are going to write in the exam, that format I will give. You give this. Prehistoric, protohistoric, historic. So first you give the heading aspect is time frame. Sanju, you make a table like this. Now here different aspects will come, dimensions and characteristics in different time periods, so that this table will give you the answer. First one, time frame. In prehistory, you write before the advent of written records. Before the advent of written records. Then this is after emergence of written records. That's why Vedic time period we consider as historic period, because we study about Vedic period from Vedas. Vedas are literary evidence. We study about that particular time period from that. And this is transition period. That's why the question which you asked, if Harappan script is completely deciphered, then our historic time period is going to be shifted at least 2000 years earlier. That is going to be a very, already the discovery in 1921 itself is a major revolutionary. But if we really discover it, invent that, decipher it, our historic period in the Indian context itself will move towards 2000 years earlier. Suppose if it is 1500 onwards, we are saying, now it goes from 2500 years onwards. Next. How we decide the chronology. Chronology means we are saying first Vedic time period comes, then Mahajanapadas, then Mauryans, then how we are doing that. It is depending on the written records chronological order. I will give the statement. Determined through, you give in this, so that these two things are other things. Determined through written records and historical chronicles. Determined through, you write here. Determined through historical chronicles. When it comes to chronology, lack of precise dating. Lack of precise dating. And we can identify only through archaeology. Determined through archaeology. You write full sentence so that you can use in the answer itself. Determined through archaeology. determined through archaeology. And now you see, when it comes to sources, our first chapter in our history syllabus is sources. The first source, archaeological sources and literary sources. Unless you use both sources, our human evolution we cannot understand fully. Otherwise, we know only about this part, but we will not know about this part. And in fact, do you know, this part covers of entire human history, 99%. In our human evolution, historic period is only maximum 2000 years, 3000 years. But how many years onwards our human evolution is happening? That's why if we completely rely on only written records, we will know only about 1% of the human behavior or human evolution. To understand the remaining part of our human evolution, we have to depend on archaeology. Because there is no other way of understanding these people except through archaeology. So this shows the importance of archaeology, at the same time literary sources. Next one, third category. Writing system. We will give some examples here. Determined through, okay, proto-history, transition from prehistoric to historic, simply. Here it will come transition. Okay. Now, writing systems. Writing systems. Here you give examples. Presence of systems like Brahmi, Kharosthi. Presence of scripts like Brahmi script, Kharosthi, Aramaic. Gradually we will see after Mauryan time period, we will have these scripts in our Indian context. Here, absence of any script, absence of any writing system. Early stage of writing system. Early stage of writing system. When it comes to writing system, we generally understand the modern way of writing. Today we have in English language alphabets. Similarly, in local language, Hindi, any other language, we have alphabets. That is the way of understanding the language. But we really don't know, in Chalcolithic period, probably they might have used some kind of symbols. When it comes to pottery, on the pottery, you will have some kind of symbols. We really don't know whether that was a script, some kind of meaning to convey to the others, or it's simply an image. That's why the early stage of writing, archaeology helps in this regard. This is the beginning stage of early writing, and that gradually entered into the modern form of writings. Next. Sources of information. Sources of information. You write like written records, inscriptions, epigraphs, coins, numismatics, on the writings on the numismatics. When it comes to here, archaeological sources. Archaeological sources like cave paintings, stone tools, archaeological sources. And when it comes to this, dominated by this only, archaeological. Archaeological sources plus if we can understand no name, because we are not able to decipher, no name is given, like Brahmi, Karoshti. But in case of Harappan script, we don't know. Name also. Simply we are calling Harappan script. Simple. Boast of it, and that's why just it is our interpretation only. Like they are writing from common symbols. Suppose this one, whenever you write P and R, you are starting from this to that. And similarly, when it comes to Harappan script, the common symbols, they are going in this way. And again, similar kind of symbols, they are coming from that side to this side. So depending on that, probably they are writing this to this. Suppose whatever is available here, 1, 2, and it is coming 1 and 2. So that's why from this side to this side likewise. Next one. Subsistence pattern. Subsistence pattern. Here you know hunting and gathering. Hunting plus gathering. When it comes to here, various subsistence patterns like agriculture, domestication, trade, industrial activities, all the modern form of subsistence patterns evolving. So simply we consider this sedentary. Sedentary life, and this is mobile, moving from one place to the other place in search of food. And in proto-history means it's combination, for some time mobile, for some time sedentary, emergence of sedentary life. Chalcolithic cultures gives this evidence. That gives the evidence of agriculture, domestication, starting point of trading activities, starting point of industrial activities, village setup, so those things. Next, technological level. Technology. When it comes to here, stone technology. Stone technology. Here, metal workings. Copper. Iron. Iron also started. Copper. And this combination, copper mixing with the tin. Bronze. That's why Harappa is having all the characteristics which we consider historic period. But only because of not able to understand the script, we were forced to put in the proto-historic category. It will go to 2500 years back. Yeah. But what is the time period of Mesopotamian script? Already that script was already deciphered. Sumerian script was already deciphered. So I do not know exactly the beginning of the time period, but if it is after our Indus script, then ours becomes the oldest. Yeah, oldest. So only missing link is script only when it comes to Harappa. But all these traditions, now you see, even they moved beyond this sedentary life. They lived in urban areas. Urban areas is in fact a modern way of life. So these are all in village also we will find these elements. But constructing, living in urban areas is completely advanced. That's why they have all the characteristics of historic period, but only because of script. Because unless we decipher it, we cannot put it in this category. Emergence of sedentary life, stone. This is beginning of usage of metal. The first metal used by human beings is copper. Next one. Sanju, have you written up to here? Can you speak? Are you able to? Then, political system. Next dimension, political structure. When it comes to historic period, we have advanced, you write this point, emergence of kingdoms in historic period. In historic period, emergence of kingdoms, empires, and dynastic rules. This emerged. This is a historic period. And here this is beginning. Beginning of political system. Here, absence of anything. Hardly people will stay in one place. It's very difficult to emerge political system. People will keep on moving from one place to the other place. If we take the social system, how we can define? When it comes to historic period in the Indian context, we have Varna system, then caste system, Jati system, those things. How we write? Stratified social hierarchies. Stratified. Stratified social hierarchies. And this one, this is completely egalitarian. People are living in few band society. Band society are egalitarian. Band society, egalitarian society. Emergence of complex social system. Just beginning. That is going to be fully evolved in historic period. Social systems, then religion. Religious beliefs. And here to write in historic period, detailed religious texts. Detailed religious texts, scriptures, mythologies, all these things emerged. Because you can see this is sedentary life. Once people get sufficient resources, then people have time to think about some other religious beliefs, new ideas. Out of those new thinking, new ideas, these institutions also emerged. Next, when it comes to this, when it comes to religious beliefs, we don't know really what the religious beliefs. You write in this one, in the middle, transition. Towards religious beliefs. And here only we don't know whether it is religious or not also. What is the source of religious beliefs when it comes to Paleolithic and Mesolithic? Drawings of the cave paintings. Yes. So only we can come to know about their religious beliefs from the archaeological sources. Like paintings, on caves. When it comes to here, we have texts, religious texts are there. But there are no such texts here, only cave paintings. And here, transition towards religious beliefs in the form of burials, pottery images, terracotta images, seals. Yes, so those things. Emerging. Now you see, when it comes to Chalcolithic period in India, all these institutions are emerging. But again, detailed religious texts do we have? No. That's why we cannot consider it as this. And was there any emergence of kingdoms? No. That's why Chalcolithic we cannot consider as historic. Stratified social hierarchies, we do not know exactly, but only depending on the burial practices, only those things only.
Some of finance had pretty elaborate things, some had the basic things.
Basic things, that's why not completely emerged social system we don't understand. And these institutions not in the full scale evolution, they are just beginning. That's why Chalcolithic period we cannot consider as historic period. At the same time, it cannot be considered as prehistoric period also, because prehistoric is very beginning stage. They crossed that. Prehistoric people are mobile in nature, they are subsistence for food itself very difficult. But when it comes to Chalcolithic period, sedentary life, village life, agriculture, artisan activities, copper also they used. But we don't know about these people from the written records. Because of that, we cannot consider it as this page also, we cannot consider this period also. That's why this.
This was like in Neolithic already, which are villages are like in Meher, then why don't we consider that those passing from this?
No metal. So now script also not there, metal also not there. Fully it is a prehistoric period. These are all after the emergence of metal, after the emergence, these evolutions emerged because of the technological changes. That's why if you see industrial revolution, up to industrial revolution, one kind of society. But post-industrial revolution completely transformed. Nowadays we are talking about new technology like artificial intelligence. It is going to alter completely the way human beings are going to live. That's how the emergence of metal itself is a revolutionary in the sense. That's why these are all the consequences of the emergence of new technology and new ideas. This is how you have to see when it comes to history. Now history is nothing but how these dimensions are evolving from period to period. How these dimensions are there in Neolithic period, how are there in Mesolithic, how are there in Chalcolithic, how are there in Vedic and time period onwards. Before entering into Chalcolithic, we are going to have one more table like this. for comparison. Evolution of human history. Here we will write very small words only so that you will have better idea about these things. Lower Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic, Upper Paleolithic, or you can do one thing, you draw one table for Paleolithic only because this will help, and from the next table Mesolithic, like that we will write Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic later. Sanju, you make table like this. Lower Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic, Upper Paleolithic, first one, timeline. Timeline. 6 lakh to 1,50,000. 6 lakh to 1,50,000. Now you see this lower Paleolithic, it is also the evolution of human beings from Homo erectus to Homo sapiens stage also. Around 3 lakh time period, Homo sapiens emerged. So biologically also human beings were evolving. And in Middle Paleolithic, 1,50,000 to 35,000. Upper Paleolithic, 35,000 to 10,000. Homo sapiens sapiens, modern man. Yes, we evolved at this stage. So whatever the human, that's why whatever human history through literary means, it is talking about our species, the modern form after 10,000. And before that, a different kind of biologically, we were also evolving. Up to this time period, we call Paleolithic age. So human beings were living at this stage also, but they were following a different kind of life pattern. And next one. During this time period, now you see, when it comes to climate also, very cold one, very cold. So you can say like very cold climate, just temperature increased. Little bit warmer, but not very warm, not like Mesolithic. After 10,000 BC, completely changed. Temperatures increase little bit, little warmer. That's why if you see Bhimbetka caves and Bhimbetka paintings, actually they belong to Upper Paleolithic stage. They were not belong to Lower or Middle Paleolithic. Whatever Bhimbetka and Mesolithic, the Bhimbetka Adamgarh caves, paintings survived from Upper Paleolithic to the Mesolithic time period. Because at this time, they got some kind of comfort and they could, at least considering at this stage, these people are climatic wise better conditions for the sustainable climate. Next one. Technology. Under these circumstances, what kind of technology or tools they used for the survival? This we call core tools, large tools, stone tools like hand axe, in Lower Paleolithic, core, large. Then in the Middle Paleolithic, they started breaking them. They started breaking. This we call flake tools. Flake tools. And when it comes to this time period, blades, burins. Burin. Burin means like a screwdriver. Screwdriver kind of. For boring purpose, for drilling, boring. With a stone only, everything with stone tools only, these are all. Blades means two sides sharpened for cutting. Burins is for digging purpose. Yes, this is burin. Blades, burins, and sometimes scrapers also. Scrapers. So these people are living under these environment conditions, and naturally whatever is available to them, they were using. And what is the lifestyle, subsistence? Hunting and gathering only, everywhere. Here somewhat more difficult because very cold area, and even animals are also evolving. Not only human beings, even animals are also evolving. hunting and gathering, hunting and gathering, hunting and gathering. They were using these two tools. So you keep to imagine, under these environmental conditions, the kind of plants, the kind of animals which they live during this time period also change, and they have to depend on only that kind of food. And plants and animals change here, accordingly their food pattern changed. Animals and plants changed here, accordingly their food pattern also changed. After 10,000 BC, during Mesolithic and Neolithic time period, warmer climate, more food grains. That's why agriculture became the dominant profession. Subsistence. Next, houses. Houses. Sanju, can you speak? Are you able to speak from your system? Hello, I am not listening. I am not able to listen you. Is it okay from your side? Your microphone. Suppose if you want to ask any doubt, you type in the chat box. You type in the chat box. Can you speak? Can you speak few words? Whether, let us check whether you are, am I able to hear you or not. I'm not able to hear you. Okay, you type in the chat box if you have any doubt. Houses. Now you see, under these circumstances, very cold climate, now only they have to depend on the naturally available caves. Caves. The tradition continued. Caves and rock shelters. Same thing. Caves and rock shelters. Because they don't know how to make their own home also. And in fact, the climate also not conducive enough. They had to depend on houses. And when it comes to society, band society, few people, because they have to always hunting mode. They keep on hunting from one place to the other place. Group of 20 people, 30 people, they keep on moving. Band society. Band society. Band society. And when it comes to religion, they might be having some kind of religious beliefs, because we can understand only through the paintings on the walls, like probably animals and plants. Animal, plants. Might be same animals and plants. Now you can see that tradition even today also continuing. Religion. The final point, art. Art. The artistic expression, their feelings they expressed in the form of paintings. On caves. When it comes to Indian subcontinent, our Bhimbetka context is paintings on caves in Upper Paleolithic. Example. And whatever they did might not be survived, we don't know. This how. Now you see, for everything, whatever may be the question, whatever may be the time period, these dimensions are going to be common. You take Vedic time period, timeline, their conditions, technology, subsistence, then houses, society, religion, and art. Our questions also same thing. So it can be asked about art of Gupta time period, religion of Vedic time period, subsistence pattern of Neolithic people. So these are same dimensions throughout our history. Now you write Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Next table. Sanju, we are going to draw another table. This is, we have compared lower, middle, upper Paleolithic. In next table, we are going to see Mesolithic, Neolithic, and Chalcolithic. Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Timeline. In our Indian context, 9000 to 4000 BC. When it comes to Neolithic, 7000 to 1000 BC. And here, Chalcolithic, we do not have any specific reference, like we have, say, 3rd millennium. Third millennium BC to, it continued till 700 BCE. Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Now you see how our history is transforming. Subsistence. Climate is almost the same climate, warmer climate. warm climate. This entire Paleolithic stage, we also can use the term Pleistocene age. Pleistocene, that is Ice Age. That continued. This Ice Age changed. That's why climate change took place in this stage of human life. The climate change, this has transformed the way people live completely. And once again, we are talking about climate change now in the 21st century. Warm climate, climate change, warmer. Now it continues, warmer. Now today we are in a condition talking about global warming also. It is increasing beyond certain level which we cannot withstand. Climate is continuously changing, becoming warmer. As a result, animals also will change, plants also will change. Subsistence. Hunting, gathering, or you write here, beginning. Beginning of domestication. Domestication of, you write both of plants and animals. Domestication of plants means gradually it led to the evolution of agriculture. Domestication of animals gradually evolved into the kind of animal husbandry. Fishing. Hunting and gathering continues. And you see, even today also, whatever their subsistence pattern continuing even today also. Only new subsistence pattern will increase, but the old system continues. Hunting, gathering today also going, fishing today also going, animal domestication going on, agriculture going on, new services, new industries are emerging. But whatever old practices are still continuing in different parts of India. Subsistence. Next. Technology. With what technology they continued these professions? Neolithic, okay. Agriculture. Agriculture. Domestication of animals. Domestication of animals. When it comes to agriculture, they practice like wheat, barley, rice, they produced. In Neolithic itself, they produced. And these things are going to become even more stronger in Chalcolithic. So here you give like agriculture, domestication. In addition to that, so much artisan activities. Artisan activities. Based on stone, based on metal, so many artisan activities emerged. Subsistence pattern. And you can write trade also. Even in historic period also, these are the same, similar kind of subsistence patterns. Technology. When it comes to Mesolithic, microliths, small stone tools for their subsistence pattern they utilized. Microliths, stone tools. In Neolithic also, stone tools, but they are polished. Polished stone tools. One example is celt. Celt, it's like polished hand axe. It can be used for agriculture purpose. And in some places we identified even bone tools also. Stone tools, polished tools, example celt, bone tools. And when it comes to here, in Chalcolithic, stone tools continued, copper technology, and low grade, in some places low grade bronze also, in some places low grade iron also. But copper is the dominant one. Technology. Sanju, written up to here? You can type in the chat box. Have you? Hello, Sanju, can you speak? Have you written up to here? Okay, fine. Society. So this is when it comes to Mesolithic, this is the combination of Paleolithic and Neolithic. Mesolithic is the Middle Age. Dominant characteristics of Paleolithic also, some characteristics of Neolithic also are visible. So here, band society plus beginning of settled life. And here in Neolithic villages, settled life. Once agriculture comes, people have to stay in that particular place. Villages, settled life. In Chalcolithic also, this tradition continues. Villages, settled life. In some places, even we identify social hierarchies. we come to know about these social hierarchies based on the burial practices. Example, burial practices. Now they are going to deepen. Burial practices. And we find mother goddess terracotta images also in Chalcolithic time period. That shows the importance of women. So definitely some kind of gender division, social hierarchy, social division, those systems are emerging at this time. Because for Vedic time period onwards, we have some written records. We can read what was the exact condition of women society. But when it comes to Chalcolithic, Neolithic, only through archaeological evidence we have to identify. It becomes difficult to identify exactly. Religion. Religion. Same, plant and animal worship. Plant and animal worship. Mother goddess. Same. And you see, on next stages, same, these systems will continue. Last one, art. Cave paintings. Cave paintings, Bhimbetka, Adamgarh. And in Neolithic, Chalcolithic, paintings but on pottery emerged. Pottery designs. Pottery designs. In some of the places, now you see, when it comes to Neolithic and Chalcolithic, you will not see much difference. Only more people, population is going to increase. In Paleolithic, less population. Mesolithic, population little bit increased. Neolithic, some more people. Chalcolithic, some more people. Only more population, more villages, more number of activities, subsistence pattern activities. If you take in South India, in the same time Neolithic and Chalcolithic started emerged. That's why some sites we call Neolithic-Chalcolithic sites. Because the time from Mesolithic time period onwards, once after crossing Mesolithic, people entered into polished stone tools, but at the same time they also started using copper also. That's why we consider both as Neolithic and Chalcolithic. All right. This about Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic and Chalcolithic. Now we need to draw three images. One for Paleolithic India map, Mesolithic India map, Neolithic and Chalcolithic. 4 images we will draw so that you will see how in Indian subcontinent people settlements are increasing over a period of time. 4 India maps you draw. You give the space to draw 4 India maps. One for Paleolithic, one for Mesolithic, one for Neo, one for Chalco. Sanju, I am going to draw India map. You follow me. We are going to draw 4 India maps. Paleolithic settlements. Under this, Paleolithic, then Mesolithic, just we are going to draw broadly areas, regions, not every site. Because just to identify how our human settlements are moving to different places. Just you give in this area, this area, this area. When it comes to Mesolithic, major dominant settlements in Bilan Valley. Here, Sohan Valley, Narmada Valley, Tungabhadra Valley, Bilan Valley. You see, our human evolution, human beings are continuously migrating. Africa, it is the mother continent of all the human race. From there they migrated and they are going to come to this part initially. That's why, for example, wheat produced before northwestern parts, it was produced in the West Asia. But when it comes to rice, now you see these areas are desert areas. It is not conducive for the rice growth. Rice requires alluvial soil and also a lot of water. You will find once they come to Gangetic Valley, rice cultivation becomes very dominant. Even though wheat, barley, cotton, they produced in this area before in the other parts, but rice in India for the first time they are going to produce in Bipan Valley only. This is how from Paleolithic, old Paleolithic, lower, middle, upper Paleolithic, continuously settlements are moving towards in other directions. Bipan Valley, Mesolithic settlements. Now, Neolithic. Now you will see more and more number of settlements. Do you see? Paleolithic few settlements. In Mesolithic, and you need to observe whatever settlements are continuing here. Gradually, these people are going to stay and they are going to become dominant by Neolithic time period. Already in Paleolithic, Stohan Valley, Tungabhadra, already in Paleolithic time period onwards, we see the evidence of human, and gradually they are going to settle. And now these people are moving towards northeastern areas also. And if you take, this is 7000 BC, and this is 3000 BC, 1000 BC, 2500 BC, BC. But you give this here 5000 BC. This is before 10,000. before 10,000 BC itself, human settlements were there in India. Around 5000 BC also. Those settlements are continuing. When it comes to Chalcolithic, now from 2500, 2100 BC onwards, it continues till 700 BC. Chalcolithic. We are separating Harappan civilization later, but in fact, how you see this? Harappan civilization is not a sudden event. Paleolithic also, Paleolithic stage also, some settlements were there, Sohan Valley, and that a little bit continues in Mesolithic. By Neolithic time period, more and more settlements, and these people are going to adopt copper also. And once they adopt the copper, then gradually urban civilization also emerged. So it's a gradual evolution. In our question, how Harappan civilizations emerged? Emerged means there were different theories, because these were discovered during the colonial time period. They were always seeing through the prism of colony. We were always treated as if we don't have any civilization. Whatever civilization elements came to India, those were always the gift of outsiders, not the indigenous people development. That's why even Indus Valley civilization also, multiple theories emerged. It was not a indigenously developed one, but someone came from West Asia and suddenly they started urban areas. These people brought the technology, these people brought the elements, then emerged suddenly. Our question also like that. Indus urban areas did not emerge suddenly. It is a gradual process. Answer to that question is, now you see. Your answer is going to start from Paleolithic itself. For general studies students, it is very difficult area. But for optional student, it is very compulsory part. We cannot start from Indus Valley civilization, because before Indus Valley itself, so much development already took place. That is the climax of the development, Indus Valley civilization. But here, these Chalcolithic settlements dominated in Ahar, Gilund, Balatal. Malwa, Jorvi, these areas. In this area also, like Chirand, Ondurajar, DB, these things. Now you see this one. These Neolithic, the moment they adopted stone technology, polished stone, they started taking copper also. That's why these continues. They are also called Neolithic Chalcolithic period. This is Jorvi, and here we call Neolithic Chalcolithic. Neolithic Chalcolithic. And here Karnataka region, Karnataka, Andhra, In that way, actually, there is no single description. South Indian, Chalcolithic, Neolithic. Malwa we call Central. Jorvi we call Deccan, and below that South India. And when it comes to this, Eastern India. This is western part, and you give special case before the emergence of mature Harappan, early Harappan sites. These early Harappan sites are nothing but some Neolithic, some Chalcolithic. These Neolithic, Chalcolithic settlements emerged into urban form, mature form. Those became mature Harappan site. In our map pointing also, one category is there. UPSC gives 1 point and say early Harappan site. Now you give this. You can give only this much, the northwestern part. Early Harappans, these are nothing but Neo plus Chalcolithic. And you give one more so that you will have better idea. Late Harappan. In between there is mature Harappan. We will study deeply. Late Harappan, whatever these urban elements, they are again, their culture is going to spread. And these elements are going to stay late here also, here also, here also, here also, here also. They are going to spread. (10:30). Here. Late Harappan. Early Harappan, late Harappan. Now you see, Harappans are sandwiched between these. And some of these these Chalcolithic settlements are post Harappan. So that's why when it comes to Chalcolithic settlement, you cannot, because of the emergence of Indus Valley civilization, that confusion emerged. Now you give timeline. Paleolithic. After Paleolithic, Mesolithic comes. After that, Neolithic. After Neolithic, Chalcolithic. After Chalco, Harappan. Now you see, after Harappan, once again we get Chalcolithic. There are multiple theories. Mostly accepted theory is ecological degradation. Only in this part, Harappan civilization emerged. This part, Harappan civilization emerged. It continued for nearly 1,000 years. 700 to 800 years, it flourished, urban civilization. But this area was overexploited. Indus River, today this area is desert area, Balochistan area. But at that time it was not that arid. It was semi-arid. It was also arid, that time also semi-arid. So many rivers were there, they exploited these rivers and they did not change the technology also, and gradually the fertility of soil decreased and some natural ecological degradation, some floods took place, sometimes droughts took place. Naturally, whenever such calamities come, people will migrate to the new areas. Once they migrated, they cannot take the city area, but they continued the culture. They took to the new areas their culture, but not the urban elements, because urbanization requires different technological advancement. In this area, all the conditions which required for the urban areas fulfilled. But once you move to the new area, their agriculture practices are different. Their domestication of animal practices are different. Artisan activities are different. But here these conditions are already set. That's why it led to the emergence of urbanization. But once you go there, only you can take the ideas. That's why Mother Goddess, some kind of script, pottery, all those elements entered into new cultures. They use this metal copper. But even they don't know how to use bronze also. That's why these late Harappans became Chalcolithic sites. But when it comes to Harappan, this was a bronze. After late Harappan, that's why before Harappan also copper used, after Harappan also copper used, but urban areas emerged in between. These Chalcolithic settlements are these settlements. Do you know what is the southernmost Harappan site in India? In this location, there is a place called Daimabad. Daimabad is considered as the southernmost point. It is having the characteristics of these Harappan elements, like some usage of bronze, some urban elements. How these came means they have taken their ideas and technology to this particular place. This is how our evolution goes on. Now you see the institutions, prehistory, proto-history and historic period. In our historic time period means written scripts are there, metal usage, full social institutions, full economic institutions. All these, whatever we are seeing today, modern form of life, all those institutions emerged in historic time period. When it comes to prehistory, just beginning, proto-history is the transition period between pre and proto. These are the subsistence. Now we have compared how human evolution taking place from lower Paleolithic. This is the time period. Climate is changing. Accordingly, plants and animals also change. Technology also changed accordingly. Their subsistence pattern also, hunting, gathering. Gradually, it led to these agriculture practices. Houses also, they started making. Art. Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, you add one more thing. Technology, society, religion, art. You include one element, that is houses. Wattle and Doab. When it comes to Mesolithic, caves plus wattle and daub. This is they used these leaves and poles. Leaves and poles. Wattle and daub in Neolithic. Wattle and daub. Mud bricks also they used. And in some place like Burjaham, pit dwellings. Pit dwellings. And when it comes to Chalcolithic, this wattle and daub continued. Then mud bricks continued. In some place burnt bricks also. Because of these burnt bricks only, Harappans could use these burnt bricks for urban areas. This is how housing pattern also changed, and this is how the human evolution is continuing. And today, so many settlements, Chalcolithic, and when it comes to Harappan, urban areas, again after Harappan also Chalcolithic. Then when it comes to the timeline Paleo, Meso, Neo, Chalcolithic, Harappan, they forgotten the urban elements, bronze. Once again it became like this one. Now you see this Chalcolithic, when Vedic people comes, again they start from the life from agriculture. Even before that, pastoralism, domestication of animals. Then gradually in later Vedic time period, agriculture. Then kingdoms, empires emerged. This is how our society evolves. In each and every time period, we are going to deal with these dimensions only. Our questions are also asked in the same dimensions. If it is completely about Mesolithic, means all the dimensions. If it is a particular Gupta time period, they may ask art of Gupta time period, economy of Gupta, political system of Gupta time period, likewise. These are the institutions. Tomorrow I will give you the proper model answer. I will dictate so that you will have a reference. As of now, you understood how these systems are evolving. But how you are going to write in the mains examination, that is going to be important one with some evidence. In 150 words, 200 words, how you are going to present, that is also matter. Sanju, all right up to here? Okay then. You read NCRT, Sanju, you read NCRT, R.S. Sharma. Okay, then you, tomorrow if you have any doubts, you ask me in the class. I will explain it. All right, see you tomorrow then.